that many of the first generation Muslims that came to this country didn't come here because of Islam as such. They came here to earn money. And no one should fail to recognize some of the amazing things that the first generation of Muslims that came to this country in the 1960s did. Amongst the amazing things that they did is they built mosques. They did that. That's truly an amazing thing. And considering that they were not earning huge amounts of money, they still built masjids, places to come, to gather, to pray, to establish the prayer. This is a very important thing and a great contribution that no one should belittle them for. However, the attitude, the general mentality was, and of course there are exceptions to this, as people have told me, but I said anyway, you're an exception. The rule, the generality is they came here to work to earn money. Most of the first generation never thought they would stay here. They always imagined they would go back home. They never looked at England as home. They never, until this day, consider England as home. They think home is some other place that they came from and ultimately they would like to go back to. But in the meantime, they had children here who went to school here, who many of them don't any longer speak the language that their parents speak. Even if they understand it, they don't speak it. The majority. And many of those children have now got married and they have had children. So we're talking about third and fourth generations here. And they're still here. What happened to back home? In other words, for all cases and really in reality, this is home. This is where you live. This is where you will die. And this, for most of us, is where we'll be buried. This is where our children will have their children and their children have their children. This is now, in reality, de facto, for us and most of our direct descendants, our home. England is home. So first of all, we have to take out of our minds the mentality that home is somewhere other than this place. We have to take it out. This is our home. This is our country. And if you don't think like that, your children do. They do. And you know what? If your children don't, your children's children definitely. There is a whole, unfortunately, confused generation. And they're confused because they're not here and they're not there. They don't feel English and they don't feel whatever else. That is very sad. That's partly our fault because we didn't give them a clear direction. It's also partly the fault of the society because it's hard, as one brother, this brother, he runs some, I don't know, the Mirpur society or whatever, right? Okay. I'm totally against these things. I said, look, you speak English better than half the English people I know, right? Okay, you're educated, you're eloquent. Look at you, all the things you've been saying in your speech. Why do you have a Mirpur society? For what? You're English, aren't you? Don't you feel English? Don't you feel English? He said, you know what? I said, what is preventing you from saying I'm English and that's it? He said, the day that I walk down the street and I know no one will say to me, oi Paki, then I will know that I feel this is my home. So there is a point there, right? There is a point that as long as there are people saying things like that, okay, there is an issue that we're not being made to feel that this is home. However, I don't think a sensible person could take a few extreme people like that. These people fight each other over the football team that they support, for God's sake, right? That if you're that different, you're different because you support a different, you're from north and we're from the south, they have these things, right? So, of course, if your skin color's a bit different or whatever and this and that, okay, they may just say a stupid thing here and there and sometimes it gets worse than that. But I don't think this is a reason for us not to embrace the fact that this society by and large has, you have to say it, welcomed us, right? And many of us, if we are honest, will also say that there are many things that we prefer about living here, and I've heard this from many different Muslims across the cultural range. They have said to me, we are more free to practice Islam here than we are back in our country. I've heard this especially from Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, Morocco. We are free to express many of the outward manifestations of our religion, growing our beard, wearing niqab, many of those things that you would, or up until recently, found it very hard to do in many Muslim countries. We are allowed to express certain political, social, even religious views that it would not really be possible in many Muslim countries. So there are many reasons why we find it comfortable. I'm sure all of us agree that it's very Islamic that if, I'm driving around, I don't feel that a policeman is going to stop me and the only way I'm going to get away is by bribing him. Right? Is that Islamic? Right? I just flew back from Kochi in India, and on the airplane from the Dubai section was a Bangladeshi guy. He was telling me that he just decided to go back to Bangladesh, but the land he'd bought in Bangladesh had been taken by a minister. Just occupied his land. I was feeling pretty sorry for him until he started ordering wine. I thought, I hope you never get your land, you dog. That's what I said to myself. I didn't say it to him. But and he said his name was Islam as well. Astaghfirullah. Anyway, may Allah guide him. Inshallah, he only had one glass of wine. I think he got embarrassed after the look I gave him after. He was drinking orange juice after that, alhamdulillah. But the point being, let's go back to the main point, the corruption. The corruption. Is that Islamic, that corruption? There are many things that we can appreciate about this society, and there are, of course, negative things. Right? And we all know what those negative things are. So our task should be to embrace those things that are positive, and then to do what we can to influence society to leave those things that are negative. That is what really our mission is.